What's up guys, Nathan here, and today I want to talk about the biggest reason why perhaps you are not winning at poker yet. Alright, so the number one reason why people don't win at poker is tilt, that is getting frustrated when they get a bad run of cards, and I'm actually not going to talk about that in today's video. I'm going to talk about the other twin killer of poker success these days, which is becoming more and more of an issue by the year. I get the emails, the comments about this all the time where I can see that this is absolutely their problem. What is it? It is overthinking the game, overanalyzing everything, and overcomplicating the crap out of especially small stakes poker games. Alright, so what do I mean by this? Well, specifically I'm talking about trying to study every new latest theory out there. You know, there's a million different courses and books and theories and coaches, all of this stuff these days that it boggles my mind sometimes. I don't even know what to look at myself, what's the best stuff. I do have a couple suggestions that I have in the description below, but honestly I'm not here to recommend anything really in this video. I'm actually recommending for most people that they stop subscribing to so many different training courses, forums, Reddit, I mean all of the stuff, and actually just focus on one or two main sources of poker information from somebody who's sort of been there, done that, and who's giving them clear and concise information that's going to help them in the games they play in. This is another huge problem these days, is a ton of the poker advice out there is given by high stakes poker pros, and the vast majority of people do not play high stakes poker. They play in small stakes games, so often they're taking in information that is meant to work against high stakes world-class professionals, and they're trying to make it work in their $10 cash game or sit and go online, and it ends up being an epic failure for them. So the other beautiful thing about small stakes poker is you're playing consistently against other people who are relative beginners to the game as well. This means that they're often not really thinking about the game on a super deep level, and that is another reason why just using a very simple strategy is often the best approach in these games. So what does that actually mean? Well, it really just means using a very basic sort of ABC, tight and aggressive strategy, like I teach in my free poker cheat sheet, which I'll leave a link to in the description below, and just understanding how to make basic value bets when you have a good hand, not trying to bluff, again, these weaker sort of basic opponents in small stakes games, and perhaps most importantly of all, it's not getting frustrated when you get a bunch of bad beats or coolers in a row. I'm gonna say you absolutely do not need to be using a solver at these stakes. This is a huge problem that is honestly really hurting a lot of small stakes players these days, is they're trying to use one of these programs that's going to teach them how to play optimally in every single situation. This is not something that we need to be concerning ourselves with, again, in low stakes games where you're just playing against, you know, the weekend warrior who's got a very basic understanding of the game, and maybe he's a couple drinks in, he's just splashing around having fun. You don't need to understand complex game theory in order to beat a player like this. In fact, all you need is a very basic strategy, once again based on making big value hands and getting the maximum value from that. Now, this doesn't mean that you shouldn't start learning some higher level theory, you know, GTO type stuff once you start moving up the stakes. I definitely think that that is a great idea when you make it to mid stakes, high stakes games, because by that I'm talking about when you're playing at least, you know, $100 buy-in cash game, for example, online. You know, you're playing something like a 10-20 cash game live, maybe you're playing $50 or $100 tournaments online. You get the idea, not the super small stakes that most people play. Because once you step into those games, yes, you're going to start playing against some other players who take the game extremely seriously like you do. Many of them actually play the game professionally or semi-professionally, and these players are studying every aspect of your game. They are finding specific weaknesses and ways that they can exploit your play and play a perfect game theory optimal kind of strategy versus you. But at the lower stakes games, which is where 90% of people play poker, talking about, you know, the $2 games, the $5 games online, you know, $1, $2 live cash games, you do not need to know this super advanced strategy in these games in order to beat them. You also should not be copying your favorite high stakes pro for example, somebody like Daniel Negreanu, who makes a super in-depth, complex bluff against another world-class pro, because again, this is not going to work against the standard players in your games. You know, something that I try to remind people so much these days in small stakes games is that chances are you are good enough. You already know enough. Most people already understand enough basic theory in order to succeed in smaller stakes games these days, and often what holds them back is trying to make crazy complex plays, river bluff raises, you know, merging their range with a river check raise bluff against some guy who just has top pair and he doesn't care. He's going to call you either no matter what you do. Your high level thinking, your all of the stuff that you've studied so hard to learn and everything is going to go right over the head of these small stakes players that you're playing against. So guys, really to sum up this kind of short video is my best advice for you is to refrain from overthinking things, overcomplicating things, and always looking for the complexity in the game, especially if you're like 90% of people out there that play for small amounts of money, whether online or live in a casino. Because the real straight truth is the vast majority of people that play in these games, they don't study the game. They don't think about the game on any kind of deeper level. They just play at the very lowest level, which is just, what cards do I have? Do they connect with the board? Do they look pretty to me? That's honestly the extent of the decision making of a lot of players in lower stakes games. They're not even thinking on a level high enough in order to understand what you are representing. Now, I'm not trying to insult small stakes players or anything. In fact, like I say all the time, a lot of the people that you play against in these games actually are highly intelligent people in their day job. They could be judges, lawyers, anything of this sort. But there's a reason why most of them play for small stakes online or in the casino, and that is because they haven't advanced their knowledge enough in order to play for the significant amounts of money that you will encounter in mid and high stakes games. And that is why the most simple and basic strategy is usually the one that's going to give you the most success in these small stakes games. Trying to overcomplicate things against these players, kind of what I call the banging your head against the wall theory of poker. It's just doing it the wrong way. You don't have to make crazy bluffs against these players. You don't have to think about the game on a super deep level. You just need to understand the basic fundamental mechanics of the game. Again, like I teach in my free poker cheat sheet, which I'll leave a link to in the description below. So anyways, guys, I hope that this short little video helped you guys out in some sort of way. You know, I think that success is contagious in poker, and really just getting results is more important than anything. And that's why I honestly, something I've been saying for years is just get at the tables and play a bunch of poker. You know, this is how I got into the game before any of this. There were no training courses or really any modern books and stuff like that back then. I just had to learn through simple trial and error, through playing millions and millions of hands. And I eventually got it sort of beaten into my brain that the simple basic strategy is almost always the correct one in lower stakes games. You know, like I said, when you start getting some real and consistent results at the poker table, it's going to make you so much more motivated to play more, to study more, and to progress, to find your path to large scale success in this game. So guys, if I can implore anything upon you with this video, it's to understand that poker really is a very simple game requiring a very simple strategy, and the number one key to your success is going to be to stop overthinking the game so much. Get out there and just crush some fish. So anyways, guys, all I got for this one. Make sure you let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you agree with me that there's a lot of overthinking, overanalyzing at the small stakes these days? Or do you think that studying a lot of advanced theory is necessary in order to beat the lower limits these days? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you guys want to see more poker strategy videos like this, I put them out every single week. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel here, and also shove all in on that like button below if you found this video helpful. So I'll leave another video up here that I made recently that I think will help you guys out as well. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. This has been Nathan Williams with BlackRain79.com.